Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about ideas. All of us have ideas, and in workplace, it's very important that wherever a good idea comes from, it should be listened to. It should be put into a proper structure. It should be analyzed, and it should be rejected only after the cost of executing on that idea versus the benefit once the idea has been executed, if this ratio doesn't make much sense. And especially if one is a product manager, we are on the receiving end of a lot of such ideas from execs, from peers, from someone who has recently joined the organization. Usually when people join the organization, they're full of ideas before they fall into the BAU day-to-day grind of that job. I think that period is very important to talk to someone, capture their ideas. And of course, people joining from just out of the college, they are much more aware of um, trends that many of us may not see, especially if we are not in those circles, or it's not our job to keep an eye on those things, right? So ideas are very important. All of us agree. They have to be analyzed properly. I think all of us agree. And they have to be really looked at in a very dispassionate manner. Otherwise, what will happen is, there will be so many ideas that as a product manager, you may end up spending most of your time curating those ideas, and something may not necessarily come out of it. So in order to address this scenario, I have been thinking about how to address the first part of it. What does an idea mean? How do you structure an idea? How do you communicate an idea? So subsequent actions on it, like analysis and cost benefit analysis, can happen, right? So in that, I have used a tool which I call as Idea Canvas a lot in my startup days, in my consulting part of the career, and also with some startups that I work with. And I wanted to share that. What I'll do is um, I have already shared that canvas and some brief on how to use it on my blog. And what I'll do is I'll essentially walk us through that page, and we'll go through it together. And I'll use the video and the conversations that may come to my mind when I have been using it and when I've been talking about with others. So we can add some richness to a very bland web page, right? So let me share my screen here. Okay, let me put it here, share screen. And yeah, so this is my blog, ddIINNXX.com. Basically a variant of Dinks, what I was getting called in college. And I found it rather easily, so this one stuck. And today I want to talk about Idea Canvas, and let's go a little deeper into this. For me, it's a tool. It's an innovation tool, very lean, which has the intention of allowing someone with an idea to talk about it, encapsulate it in few words, and making it easy to be understood by someone who may not have the direct context of it, or someone with whom you may not have discussed this in person. So that's what makes this even more important. So, always start from the very beginning. A good, good place to start, to quote a song. Uh, in this context, what I mean by an idea is within an organization, startup, or an enterprise, someone within the team has a thought that can, either address an opportunity, maybe open up a new opportunity, solve a problem, and there is a context behind why that idea has come up in this organization. It's probably related to the customers, the partners, the domain this organization in, and it brings certainly some value. And if we take that definition of an idea, I want to introduce the thought of an idea canvas to structure your thought, structure that idea, and to communicate it. Canvas are quite popular. I think my first brush with Canvas was the business model canvas. Brilliant canvas, very popular among business leaders, product managers, even technologists, right? And since then, I have been taking this opportunity to create these two-dimensional structure where there are certain boxes, and each box has a headline. And what I feel it forces us to do is to spend time thinking about each thing. So if I'm in love with one part of the idea, how the cool the tech is, how interesting or how simple the business model it is, right? The canvas format really forces us to think about other aspects also, which are equally important. They may not come naturally to us, they may not be the focus or a passion, but those things have to be thought of. And then that's where I feel the value of a canvas comes in. There are other canvases that I have built, but I'll focus on the idea canvas here. So the idea canvas has 5 sections. The first one is the idea itself. What I request uh, people to do is in as simple a language as possible, minus all the jargons. Just write your idea as a statement. Keep it very simple. No need to overthink about is this a good elevator pitch for the idea? Is this going to capture someone's imagination? Will it excite someone else as it excites me? Forget all that. As it comes naturally to you, just write it as a statement. Very important aspect, that make it jargon free, make it something that someone who does not have the same context as you, is probably not a technologist or a product manager or a domain expert like you, they can still understand it. And then spend some time thinking about trends that support the idea, right? Why why has the time of this idea arrived, or why is it the right time to invest in this idea? So as soon as we are ready with it, the opportunity will open up and we will be at the right time at the right place. uh, Things like that, trends that support the idea. And there also think about the tech, think about the business, think also about the society, right? For example, these days, privacy, online safety are a big concern in the society, which spends a lot of their time, parts of the society that spends a lot of their time online, transacting online, working using technology, right? And if you have an idea around that, you could encapsulate that as a trend in society to talk about the context, the trend that is supporting your idea. It's very important to think about these three: the tech, the business aspect of it, and the societal aspect of it. And then on the other side, the benefit of it, right? So what benefit will the idea deliver? Again, and this is very interesting, right? Typically, what we do is we focus on the customer, um, of that opportunity, right? That we are going to productize and say, this is the benefit that set of customers will get. And if you look at a lot of startups who have become successful, a lot of products that have become successful, a lot of enterprises that have created some awesome products, they bring benefit not just to the intended focused customers, but they have a lot of benefits which are kind of lateral to its cause. A lot of enterprises have created some really great open source technology. A lot of startups have created very interesting business models, and a lot of products have really changed how society interacts with itself. If you look at how messaging has changed how we do things, right? It's very important to, when we are thinking about the benefit, we think about what benefit does it bring to the world of tech, what benefit does it bring to the world of business, and what benefit it brings to the world in general. Now, some of the ideas may not have a very apparent, for example, may not have, as of today, as the idea stands, someone will say, I don't know what kind of benefit it can bring to the tech. Maybe I'm not a technical person, but I know that this is the benefit it will bring to the society, the benefit it will bring to the world of business. But I don't know what benefit it will bring to the world of tech, and that's okay. Give it a thought. If nothing comes to you, sure. That also tells you that you probably need to find a partner who is a technologist. And I choose to use the word technologist specifically over developer, because you may not, you may not really need someone who writes code, who creates products, but someone who may not be a code developer, but spends a lot of time in the world of technology, understands the technology, understands the repercussions of the technology, understands the arc of progress of technology, understands the problem statements of the technology. Some business person who is very close to the world of technology, right? So probably the hint is that you need to spend some time with such folks and take benefit of their expertise. Then innovations that are needed to make the idea feasible. I very rarely there is an idea worth investing in which does not bring with it some kind of innovation, right? Otherwise, it's BAU work, and without innovation, it becomes very difficult to for that product to differentiate itself in the market, as there are a bunch of other BAU products, business as usual, kind of run of the mill. These kind of phrases can be used, right? So very important to have some angle of innovation. The innovation could be a technical innovation. The innovation could be a business innovation. It's a new way of doing business. It's a new way of earning revenue. It's a new way of reducing cost, or a societal innovation. This will change how people interact with each other. This will revolutionize is a very strong word, but we can only aim for change, and if it drastically changes, that happens, right? In last 10-15 years, we have seen products and ideas that have really changed how our society has been. And this unintended consequences is something, again, that I want people to think about. And earlier I used to call this heading as Black Mirror. And a lot of people who are not aware of that series used to kind of get confused by what I mean. And then I had to talk about the series, and I had to talk about the context and how clever a heading this was. It kind of wasn't serving the purpose. So in fact, I would like to hear from you in the comments if you would have understood what I meant to say here, if I had said Black Mirror, instead of unintended consequences. Now, by the term itself, it's unintended consequences. We do something, we are hoping for a consequence, that's our intention, that's the benefit we want to deliver, but things go wrong, and sometimes things work out in a surprising way. We cannot figure that out. We don't know. That's why the word unintended consequence, right? That's why the unintended part of it. We don't know what consequence it may have, which we hadn't thought of it. So then what goes here, and what does this mean? What I intend to do with this section is to kind of force someone to think, how could things go wrong? How could things go probably right? But when we think about this, we should bring to our minds various products that we are using, how things went wrong with them, some ideas, very good ideas, how things went wrong with them. Doesn't always mean that the whole idea collapsed, but an aspect of it led to some negative consequence. And this is like an exercise of pessimism, that if we are successful and we make it, what kind of trouble could we create? And kind of go down that thought process and imagine what kind of mess could our success create? What kind of mess could such an idea's success create? And kind of think about it, list it down, keep it there, and make it part of your idea canvas. Because if this idea gets all the support, the promise of value overweighs the cost of building that by a lot, right? As it, the idea starts as a very simple thought process, and it has a life of its own when it gets productized and hits the market. As the evolution is happening, right? If you have thought of all these things and you're continuously thinking of it, then you have a reference. Hey, have I addressed this unintended consequence? How am I guarding against this? How am I guarding others against this? So I find this to be most interesting part of the whole exercise, the unintended consequence of the success of this idea, how we could end up messing things. So the best part about the canvas is that it forces you to be brief. Just stop editing your thoughts, just write stuff. You can have iterations on it, and that is okay. What I have also done is I have given a PDF version of this, which you can download. I've also created a Google slide sheet version of this. What you may need to do is you may need to either download it, and if you're signed into your Google account, it will allow you to make a copy. Otherwise, this is read only, and then you can start writing in. So I find this to be a very nice, nifty tool. There's also a PDF which can be printed on an A4 or letter paper, and you can do it with hand. A lot of us love doing it with hand. And I wanted to give an example. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So I had not done it this way, to be honest. The idea canvas, the structure came much later. And it was crystallization of a lot of conversations, a lot of experience, and my own startup being a part of it. So what I had done was I had envisioned a messaging app for kids. So the idea was messaging app for kids where parents own the address book. I think I was a little ahead of time, but I felt that if you give kids an option to use a messaging app, then they will not use WhatsApp and other messaging apps, because ultimately the kids want to talk to each other cousins, grandparents, whatever is their circle. And the biggest worry that the parents had was, who's my kid talking to, right? But if they could control the address book, so it's like in real life, right? Parents keep a they keep an eye on who the friends are. They try to know the friends. They try to know their parents. They try to know where the kids are, which friends are they hanging out with, whose home is the child visiting, or they have gone somewhere with whom. But necessarily they're not all, if a friend has come for sleepover, they're not going to sit at the door and listen to them. So the idea was that parents don't want to read the conversation, but they want to know who the kid is chatting with. It could be a friend, it could be a grandparent or a cousin, an uncle, aunt, whosoever. So messaging app for kids whose parents own the address book. Thus they control who the kid is talking to, but not evading privacy and trust. It's like having over someone for sleepover, but not listening into the conversation that the kids are having. So that was the idea. The trends that we're supporting it on tech side, smartphones are getting cheaper and ubiquitous. So smartphones are getting cheaper, and especially in India, many places in Asia, a lot of teenagers, maybe even earlier than that, 7 years old, 10 years old, have their own phone. Parents give it to them. They want them to call if they are having some trouble. And during the pandemic, a lot of kids were using their phones to attend classes, right? On the business side, parents are increasingly spending on digital goods for their kids, right? So after the phone comes the regular purchasing of apps. And in the society, kids are already on various unsafe social media sites, and there's a growing need for digital awareness among the kids. The benefits: create tech product for the kids that do not rely on data gluttony to serve them. If you start looking at if the parents want to closely monitor the content, then you have to go and look at the content, and you have to do data analytics on it, because a child and parent will say that I want to restrict swear words. Now you have to go and figure out what are the swear words. uh, so much of data. You'll start, what is their location, who they're talking to, what time they're talking, and it can really become a very scary situation where there is absolutely no respect for a child's privacy, and there's a risk of um, uh, there's a risk of uh, too much of data about children being available for someone to abuse. And definitely that's also in violation of the COPA rules in US. The business is to tap into the digital market for kids and society, bring something which is very safe, because the parents are the one who are configuring this app. Parents are the one who are adding users to whom with the kid can chat with. They are in control that way. So it kind of helps create a very compliant and a very safe environment for children. There were certain innovations and unintended consequences, TBD. I think in this version I had not put in, but the biggest thing I was definitely worried about is always about the safety, right? So lot of thoughts around it, but because we are not, we were not intending to capture a lot of personal information about the children as guided by COPA law. We had certain workarounds which we felt were made this idea much strong. It was quite popular, Rootkit app, but I couldn't sustain it, and I had to wind up. Anyway, would be great to hear from you if you use this idea canvas, and if you are kind enough to share a sample of yours, I'll put it here so others can look at those examples, see how it can get used, and use it as a guidance tool. And I want to thank some brilliant minds, my ex-colleagues Ruchi and Aditya. This developed in based on a lot of conversations I had with them, especially when we were trying to build one for a client whom we were consulting. So that's about Idea Canvas. So hopefully you will find this tool useful and you will use it. And if you feel like, do share. I'll host it here. I'll give you due credit, and I will try to do these recordings regularly and share more stuff from my blog, where I'll try to enrich what's already there in a very short and crisp manner, with some narrations and share some experience. Thank you, everyone. Bye.